Welcome, curious minds, to The Deep Dive. We are jumping headfirst into, well, a really fascinating exploration today, something that might just reshape how you think about what video games can really do.
hmm
Think back to 2018. I mean, what a year for gaming, right? It was absolutely packed with these titans.
Oh, yeah. Huge releases.
You had the incredible scope of Red Dead Redemption 2, just redefining open worlds, and then the raw emotion of God of War, a total cinematic beast, swept up awards left and right.
Absolutely dominated the conversation. Big budgets, big marketing.
Exactly. These were the giants. But amidst all that noise, this quieter indie game, developed and published by Matt Makes Games, well, it didn't just get noticed.
Oh, it did more than that. It really resonated.
It did. We're
Sorry
in that,
about that.
Celeste. A pixel art, precision platformer. And in that year, surrounded by blockbusters, it actually managed to grab Best Independent Gaming.
Games with impact.
Yeah.
Which is maybe even more telling.
That's what I think. It stood out, not just because it played well, but because it had this soul.
Yeah, and it's fascinating. It wasn't just the critics loving it that year. Our sources, they really show it hit players on a super personal level. And that connection, that's kind of what we want to unpack today, right?
Precisely.
So for this deep dive, we've pulled together quite a mix of perspectives. We've got a great review from Teen Inc., which gives this youthful but really sharp take.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's a really analytical piece from Derek Ex Machina, digging into the difficulty and the story mechanics.
Ah, yeah, the nuts and bolts.
Right? And a lively Reddit thread focusing on Celeste assist mode. Lots of player feelings there, plus an interview with the composer, Lena Raine.
Oh, fantastic. Her score is incredible.
Isn't it? We get a peek into that creative process. And there's an article breaking down the level design, the thinking behind every jump, and another piece connecting it all to therapy and anxiety.
Wow, okay.
And we'll even touch on a broader Reddit discussion about, are video games high art?
Mm.
And where does Celeste fit in that whole conversation?
Okay, so quite the spread. Our mission then, it seems, is to really peel back the layers of Celeste. We want to figure out how it weaves together that super challenging gameplay, and it is challenging.
Oh, it is, definitely.
With this incredibly personal, resonant story about mental health, about self-acceptance, and crucially, how those accessibility features, the assist mode, broaden its reach without, watering down its artistic core.
Exactly. How does it manage to be this really unique, empathetic thing that's more than just entertainment?
Yeah.
How does it give us insights?
Yeah, how does it transcend? So let's get into it. Let's unpack this journey.
Okay, so at its heart, Celeste introduces you to Madeline. She's a young woman, and her goal seems simple enough on the surface: climb Celeste Mountain.
Right. Seems like a standard platformer setup. Climb the thing.
But it's so much more than just pixels on a screen,
Yeah.
The sources really hammer this home. Physical climb. It's a direct metaphor. It's representing a real person's struggle with mental illness. Things like anxiety, self-doubt, and that awful feeling of just wanting to give up when you're facing these huge internal obstacles. It really captures that exhaustion.
And what I love, and what the sources point out, is how it doesn't preach. It's not hitting you over the head with mental health lessons.
No, not at all.
It embodies it, right? The story is baked into the gameplay. Every jump, every dash, every death you rack up.
And there are many deaths.
Oh, yeah. It's this amazing show, don't tell approach. Your own frustration as a player, your perseverance, eventually your triumph mirrors what Madeline's going through internally. You feel her doubt because you're feeling your own frustration with the level.
It's incredibly effective. It takes storytelling beyond what a lot of games do. You mentioned Final Fantasy X earlier.
Yeah.
Great game. Deep story.
Sure.
But sometimes the themes felt a bit separate from, grinding battles or fiddling with the sphere grid.
Right. There's a disconnect sometimes.
Yeah, but in Celeste, the story is the gameplay. They're completely intertwined.
That makes sense.
And a really key part of Madeline's struggle, something that becomes very real in the game, is how her self-doubt and anxiety actually manifest physically.
You mean bad line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fadeline, as the community calls her, this shadowy, alternate version of Madeline. It's her deepest fears, her self-hate, her doubts, all given form.
So the mountain itself is part of this. The sources mentioned a strange aura.
Yeah, that's the sort of in-game explanation, that the mountain has this quality that brings these things out. But, looking beyond the game, Badeline is such a clear, poignant nod to our own internal battles, right?
Absolutely.
That inner critic, the self-hate. She embodies those negative voices that can just paralyze you.
And this is where the game delivers something really hopeful, I think. The core message isn't like, poof, mental illness gone.
Right, that wouldn't feel true. Or helpful, really.
No. Instead, what it subtly teaches is that maybe you don't just get rid of these struggles entirely, but you can learn to live with them successfully.
Acknowledge them, understand them, maybe even work with them.
Exactly. That message of acceptance, of finding a way forward even with the struggle.
Yeah.
That's the real beauty of Celeste, I think. It's a much more nuanced take than you often see.
It really is. And what's so compelling is how this plays out in the game's climax, Madeline's big breakthrough moment. It's tied directly to this theme.
How so?
Well, throughout most of the game, whenever Madeline shows up, Madeline's first instinct is to push her away, right?
Yeah.
To reject this negative part of herself.
Yeah, which usually leads to these frantic chase sequences, really tough platforming.
Exactly. But fighting her, resisting her, it only makes Madeline stronger, more relentless within the game. It's like the game is teaching you, the player, that fighting a part of yourself is, well, kind of a losing battle.
Ah, okay, I see.
The real turning point, the moment that gives you this huge emotional release, both for Madeline and for you as the player, isn't about defeating Madeline. It's about acceptance.
The embrace.
Yes, that incredibly powerful moment where Madeline literally embraces Madeline. They merge. And crucially, this isn't just a cutscene.
No, it changes the gameplay. You get the second dash.
Right. A new mechanic, a new ability that fundamentally changes how you move, how you tackle the challenges. It's a brilliant mechanical representation of integrating that part of herself. Her inner peace makes her literally more capable.
Wow. So accepting the challenge makes you stronger. It's not about eliminating it, but working with it.
Precisely. It hammers home that idea beautifully. Progress comes from integration, not just constant battle.
That's really profound.
And speaking of integration, we absolutely have to talk about the sound, the music, Lena Raine's score. It's just phenomenal.
Award-winning, right? Dreamy, synth-driven. It's such a distinct vibe.
Totally. She's based in Seattle, known for these incredibly evocative soundscapes. And her interview gives some great insight into scoring for games versus, say, film.
Right. It's different, isn't it? Film is linear.
Exactly. In film, you sync to specific moments. But games, as Lena puts it, you're scoring the potential for a player to do something. It's nonlinear. You have to think about what the player might do, standing still, running into danger.
The music has to adapt.
Yeah, the goal she mentioned was for the music to feel like it's emerging from the environment.
Yeah.
Not just like wallpaper slapped on top.
That makes a lot of sense. And Celeste's score, it kind of goes against what you'd expect for such a hard game, doesn't it?
It really does. You'd think, okay, game where I'm dying constantly, the music's going to be punishing, frantic maybe.
Yeah, something stressful.
But no, Lena Raine's music, it encourages you. It lifts you up. It's like it's whispering, you got this. Keep going.
It's like a supportive friend instead of a drill sergeant.
Perfectly put. It's sonic encouragement. And a big part of that is a deliberate design choice she made.
Which is?
The music loops are long, they evolve, and this is key, they don't restart every time you die.
Oh, that's huge.
Isn't it? It lets you, as she said, get into the music while you're retrying the levels over and over again.
Right.
It creates this continuous, supportive, almost meditative vibe instead of constantly reminding you, you failed, you failed.
It softens the blow of failure, keeps you in the zone.
Exactly. It encourages persistence. And often, as you overcome bits of a level, more layers might come into the music, like a subtle reward.
That's clever. And the instruments she used, the sources mentioned synths and choir.
Yeah, primarily software synths. Things like Massive, which gives those rich pads and basses, and Spitfire's felt piano, which has that intimate, slightly muffled sound, great for introspection.
Okay.
But for the big moments, yeah, she used Vocalisa, a library of Bulgarian women's choir sounds, but not in a typical bombastic way. She described them as raw, emotional, using invented syllables.
Yeah.
It didn't mean anything specific, but just carried emotional weight.
Wow, like a primal kind of vocalization.
Exactly. It adds this unique emotional depth without needing lyrics. It's just incredibly well-crafted game audio, reinforcing everything the game is about.
Absolutely stunning. Okay, so we've got this deep narrative, this amazing score. Let's shift to the feel, the actual playing of Celeste. It's known as a precision platformer, and man, does it live up to that. The controls have to be perfect for that genre.
They really do. And everyone agrees, players, critics, the controls are killer. There's a very good reason for that.
So what's the secret?
Well, digging into the tech side, a key thing is that Madeline's movement isn't really based on a standard physics engine like many games use.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's mostly hard-coded. The developers programmed every little aspect of how she moves from the ground up. This gave them super precise control over the player's input.
Which you absolutely need when one wrong pixel means death.
Exactly. Physics engines can sometimes add a tiny bit of unpredictability, maybe some floatiness.
Yeah.
That would be fatal in Celeste. You need that instant, reliable response.
Can we get specific? Like, how fast does she move? The sources mention frames.
Yeah, the numbers sound tiny, but make a huge difference. Her run, she hits top speed in about 6 frames.
6 frames, so like a tenth of a second at 60 Fs.
Barely anything.
Yeah.
And she stops in just 3 frames. Incredibly snappy. It means she feels almost instantly responsive. You're not going to slide off edges unless you really mess up. It gives you that feeling of total control. Her top speed is also deliberately kept low, and there's no separate run button, all reinforcing precision over just raw speed.
Okay, and the jump, it feels distinct too.
It does. It's engineered for accuracy.
Yeah.
It's quick up and down, but there's quite a lot of hang time right at the peak.
Ah, so you can adjust your landing midair.
Exactly. Lets you make those fine adjustments. It feels bouncy and animated, but the key is it's far from floaty. Every jump feels deliberate, controllable.
Right, not like you're drifting uncontrollably.
No way. And other little things add up too. She can change direction super quick, almost no skidding.
Yeah.
And she has massive amounts of air friction, meaning if you let go of the stick midair, she pretty much drops straight down. No long, slow drift. Makes landing precisely where you want much easier.
Gotcha. And the camera helps too, right? It doesn't follow you around closely.
Right. It's usually zoomed out, static, framing the whole room or screen. This is huge for precision, because Madeline is often the only thing really moving dramatically. It minimizes distractions, lets you focus purely on the jumps and dashes.
So tight controls, clear view. Then there's the level design itself. It's not just random obstacles.
Not at all. It's another masterclass. The sources highlight lead dev Maddy Thorson's philosophy. Levels are designed with a story in mind. Each screen has its own mini-narrative arc.
A level story, what does that look like?
It usually breaks down like this. Beginning, you enter, see the layout, the threats. Tension, you encounter the first main challenge of that room. Climax, usually the hardest part, meeting everything you've just figured out. And then resolution, getting to the next screen, maybe grabbing a strawberry.
Okay, so each room feels purposeful.
Exactly. It keeps things varied, digestible, prevents that feeling of just being overwhelmed by chaos, which can happen in hard platformers, avoids that whiplash feeling.
And the design itself encourages problem solving, right? Like a climbing wall.
Yeah, that's a great analogy from the sources. Like a rock climbing wall, there's often a multitude of different ways to complete one obvious goal.
So multiple solutions.
Often, yeah. Maybe you can dash across something quickly or take a slower, more careful route. It caters to different play styles. And the design's usually pretty clear about what's not possible, so you don't waste time on dead ends.
But there's room for experts, too.
Yeah. If you really master the mechanics, the game often rewards you by letting you find these non-intended but possible difficult ways to solve things. Adds a lot of depth for skilled players.
And this idea of safety in level design, tell me about that.
Right. Safety is basically how long you can stand still without dying. A solid platform. High safety. You can pause. Plan.
Okay.
A crumbling block. Less safe. Forces you to move. Hanging onto a wall with limited stamina. Very unsafe.
Gotcha.
And this interacts with how long the level or section is. A long stretch with low safety feels way more tense because messing up means losing more progress.
Ah, so they can tune the feeling of difficulty just by mixing safety and length.
Exactly. It creates all these different feels, tense endurance runs, short, frantic bursts, all without just making the jumps arbitrarily harder. It keeps things from getting monotonous.
That's really smart design. And connecting this back, this difficulty curve, it's not just for challenge, it's part of the story.
Absolutely. It mirrors Madeline's growth. The Derek X. McKinnon analysis pointed out maybe your first time through Chapter 1, you die, say, 80 times.
Sounds about right for me.
Yeah. But later, when you've gotten better, you go back and maybe you clear it in under 10 deaths. That improvement you feel as a player. That is Madeline's journey up the mountain. Your skill growth mirrors her personal growth.
Wow, that's such a cool parallel. Tangible progress, both mechanically and emotionally.
And the game really pushes this with the B-sides and C-sides. The optional super hard levels.
Oh man, those are brutal.
Brutal. But while they don't add much direct story, they're like the ultimate expression of the game's theme. Perseverance. They seem impossible at first. But they teach you, as the source says, determinism, self-awareness, and patience. You learn every pixel, every timing. Dying hundreds of times on one screen sounds awful.
It does.
But because the design is fair, it always feels like you can do it. Just one more try.
And that struggle, It makes you relate to Madeline more, doesn't it?
Totally. All those hundreds, maybe thousands of deaths that's mirroring her internal fight. Every time you fail, respawn instantly, try again. You're literally walking in her shoes or, dashing and dying in them.
Right.
So when you finally beat a tough section, your personal victory feels deeply connected to her story's resolution, her acceptance of Beta Line. Your triumph is her triumph, in a way. You earned it together.
That's powerful stuff. Okay, let's switch gears a bit to something that Celeste really championed, assist mode. This caused quite a stir, but mostly in a good way, right?
Oh yeah, it was widely praised. Our sources rave about its conception and execution. It's designed to be unobtrusive, easy to find, easy to turn on, no judgment attached.
And it's not just an easy mode, is it? It's more granular.
Much more. Typical easy modes might just tweak enemy health or something. Celeste's assist mode lets you fine-tune things, slow down the game speed, turn on invincibility, get infinite stamina for climbing and dashing. You can even skip whole chapters if you're truly stuck.
Wow, okay. And the key thing, it doesn't lock you out of achievements or trophies.
Exactly. That was huge. It doesn't shame or punish you. Your accomplishment, however you achieved it, is still recognized. The Reddit threads were full of people saying how much that meant to them.
And the developers even changed the description in the game, didn't they?
They did. A subtle but really important change. Initially, it sort of gently discouraged using it on a first playthrough, emphasizing the intended challenge.
Right.
But they changed it to frame assist mode more compassionately, as a way to modify the game's rules to fit your specific needs. And crucially, stating you can still find a challenging and rewarding experience, even if the default is just too much for you.
That reframing is significant.
Hugely. As one Redditor put it, it means so much. It's a genuine acknowledgement that every player is different. We all have different skills, different needs, different definitions of what's difficult or accessible. It's about leveling the playing field, empowering players to find their sweet spot.
Yeah, turning an impossible game for some into a meaningful one.
Exactly. Maybe someone has motor challenges. Maybe severe anxiety makes the frustration unbearable. Assist mode opens the door for them.
Which leads to the bigger discussion about accessibility and difficulty in games, because not everyone loved assist mode, did they?
No, there was definitely some pushback. The sources mentioned disagreement and justified concerns from some players.
What was their argument?
Mostly that it cheapened the experience or went against the developer's artistic vision. The idea that Celeste was meant to be brutally hard and that difficulty was part of its artistic statement.
I can see that perspective, I guess. The struggle is part of the message.
It is. But the counter-arguments for accessibility are pretty strong, I think. And more empathetic, maybe.
Like what?
Well, first off, assist mode is optional. It doesn't interfere with how you play the game if you don't want to use it. It impacts no one else.
True.
Second, there's the simple question. What's the harm? Why not add options so more people can enjoy this amazing game and its story? It expands the audience.
Good point.
Third, brutally difficult means different things to different people. Assist mode lets each player find their own perfect balance between difficulty and enjoyability. It's not about making it trivially easy for everyone. It's about making it accessibly challenging for more people.
It's like that strawberry pie analogy someone used. Adding optional whipped cream doesn't ruin the pie for those who don't want it.
Exactly. It just makes the pie enjoyable for more people.
Yeah.
And these aren't cheats. That word gets thrown around, but it's really about customizability. Like remapping controller buttons, nobody calls that cheating.
Yeah.
It's tailoring the experience.
Yeah, empowering the player.
And it ties back so well to the mental health theme. Assist mode lets players find a challenge that's rewarding for them without being impossible for them.
So it mirrors the idea that mental health struggles are different for everyone.
Exactly. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to overcoming personal struggles, just like there's no single right way to experience or overcome the game's difficulty. That personalized approach makes the player's success, however they achieve it, feel more meaningful, echoing Madeline's own unique journey.
That connection is really neat. Okay, so let's zoom out one last time. This whole discussion touches on that bigger question. Are video games art? High art, even?
Yeah, that Reddit thread we saw brought it up. A common argument is that games reach that level when the interactivity, the gameplay itself, reinforces the story by putting you, the player, in the same mental state as the character.
Ludo narrative harmony or something like that?
Basically, yeah. Making you feel what the character feels through the act of playing.
And Celeste nails this, doesn't it?
It's a prime example. Think about the old Sight chapter, being chased by Badeline. It's not just hard platforming, it feels anxious, frantic. You feel like you're running from something inescapable.
Or the messy hotel chapter, feeling lost and overwhelmed by the chaos.
Exactly. And then the summit, that feeling of mastery, using the double dash you earn through acceptance. It mirrors Madeline's empowerment. That core idea, you can only fail if you give up, isn't just dialogue. It is the gameplay loop. Death isn't failure. Giving up is.
You can't fail unless you quit the game.
That's much.
Oh.
So Celeste, with its tight mechanics, its deep story, its inclusive design, it really shows how games can be more than just fun distractions.
They can be transformative.
Yeah.
Affecting.
Definitely. It contributes to insights about people, as one source put it. It shows the potential of the medium to explore complex human stuff in a way only interactivity allows. It's a real benchmark.
Wow. What an incredible game, and what a journey unpacking it all. We've really covered how Celeste masterfully blends that tough, precise platforming
Side controls, yeah.
with that deeply personal story about mental health, anxiety, acceptance.
It's the whole Badeline arc.
And then layers on this pioneering, really empathetic approach to accessibility with assist mode. It just brings it all together.
It really does. It's a game that, like we said, doesn't just tell you a story. It makes you live it, feel it. Every challenge overcome feels earned, both for you and for Madeline. It really sticks with you.
It absolutely does. So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something to chew on. If a game's highest artistic achievement is making the player truly experience the character's journey, to grow alongside them, what does Celeste teach us? What does it say about the future of interactive stories and maybe the responsibility creators have to make sure those powerful experiences can actually be reached by everyone?
That's a great question to leave people with. Food for thought.
Definitely. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the amazing world of Celeste.